Welcome to Fall Food Garden Planning. Hello, my name is Sophia Hamas. I am a food garden coach. I'm the founder and owner of Tasty Harvest, where I help you design, install, plan, care, and coach you to grow food at home. I'm a mother of 3 boys. I love educating all ages on how to grow food at home. My favorite fruit to grow is strawberries. My favorite vegetables are all vegetables because I love growing them all. My favorite herbs are mint, sage, and chives. My favorite edible flowers are nasturtiums and calendulae. So, in today's discussion, the key topics will be what to plant in a fall garden, when to plant a fall garden, how to care for your fall garden, and the benefits of growing a fall food garden. So let's start here. What is a fall food garden? It's a garden where you grow food for a fall harvest. So you are starting a garden just to harvest it in the fall. What to plant for a fall garden? So think about everything that you love eating in the fall season. So you have your leafy greens, your root vegetables, brassicas like your broccolis and cauliflowers, legumes like peas, alliums are your garlic and onions. So let's start with your leafy greens. Leafy greens could grow in any less than about 30 days. You will have some leafy greens in your garden. When you start them from seeds, they love to grow in cool seasons, in shady areas during the warm season, and undercover in the winter. So basically, you could grow leafy greens all year round when you adjust the growing conditions. Some of the leafy greens that are great to grow in the fall food garden are kale, and all these varieties will do well in the fall. You could also grow some spinach, and you could grow some collards and lettuces. So all these leafy greens will do just fine growing in a fall garden. And also they're a cut and come again plant, so meaning you harvest the first time just the foliage, the leaves, and it will grow back again as long as you don't root out the whole plant. You'll have anywhere from 3 to 4 harvests of your leafy greens. The brassica, so also known as the broccoli family or cabbage family, these grow about 80 to 100 days. It takes a while. They love to grow in a cool season but needs full sun to thrive. Some of these brassicas that you could grow are the cauliflower, cabbages, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. All of these will do very well in the fall garden. So you'll have a nice big harvest of these brassicas. Root vegetables. So most root vegetables will grow within 60 to 90 days, but there's some that even grow as quickly as 28 days to 30 days, which are your radishes. So they love to grow in the cool season and can be grown undercover in winter as well. Some of the root vegetables to grow are rutabaga. All these beautiful varieties will do just well. Parsnips and some potatoes too could be started and also harvest in the fall. Root vegetables to grow are beets, carrots, turnips, and radishes are the star, which grows about 30 days. You will have some radishes. Legumes. So you have the beans family. For beans, it grows anywhere between 60 to 90 days for it to start fruiting. But in the fall, you could eat all the beans, the snap peas shoot. So it's going to grow in the cool season, but will have a slower growth. You may have some pods, but the the shoots will be tender enough for you to harvest and eat them as is. So beans, the favorite is sugar snap peas. Um, that's what you could grow in the fall. The bean bushes, you could do them too and get a nice healthy harvest, as well as the pole beans. How to determine when to plant? So there's many ways to find out when you could plant your fall garden. So first, you need to find out your first frost date. And you could do this by looking up your USDA plant hardiness zone. Next, another option is to ask your local garden center. They have all this information there. You could also go online. Resources and websites do provide a lot of information when you enter your zip code, and it will give you information on when to start your fall garden. Seed packets, believe it or not, has tons of information. Most seed packets will come on information on how to grow that particular seed, your growing zone. Sometimes it has little maps on it, so it will show you. You could locate your state and know exactly what zone you fall in. So these are the different ways that you could find out your first frost date or your growing season. So, what is a first frost date? A first frost date is the average date of the first light freeze in the fall. And to accurately know what your first frost date is, you will use the USDA plant hardiness zone. This data and map was created to help farmers and gardeners with what can grow and when it could grow in their area. It was divided by 10 degrees Fahrenheit of the average annual minimal temperatures. And then the whole country was divided into 13 zones. Zone 1 is the coldest, zone 13 is the hottest, and each zone has its own first and last frost date. So by identifying what zone you're in, then you could also identify what is your estimated first frost date. In Massachusetts here, we lie within the zones of 5 and 7, and with the zones, we have about 6 zones altogether. In Framingham here, we lie between the zone 6A, and the coldest it could get here is between minus 10 to minus 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Our first frost day is estimated to be between October 10th to 15th, and we have an estimated growing season or days about 157 days from the last frost day to the first frost day. This could vary from year to year because sometimes the first frost date will be earlier or sometimes it could be even later. We have had warm weathers up to Halloween, in some cases, even going into November. So sometimes that growing season could extend a lot further. Seed packet. So this seed packet has a lot of information here. It does have information on how to grow this particular seed, which is a lettuce Parish Island course. And also it has the planting zone, when to plant the seeds. Also has the number of days to harvest. So from seed to harvest. For this lettuce is about 68 days. All right. So let's find out, how many days do we have left? As of today, July 19, 2022, we have about 88 days before the estimated first frost date of October 15. So this, by knowing this, will give us insight of what we can grow within this time period. So with all the vegetables that I just mentioned, you have to look at the seed packet. If it says it's growing from seeds to harvest is about 60 days, you know exactly you have a chance to grow these plants. You know, if it has anywhere from 80 to 100 days, you have to look at, okay, what type of plant is it? Can it tolerate a little bit of frost? So in your brassicas, they do tolerate light frost. So even though they're 80 to 100 days, you know that after the frost day, it's still going to thrive. You're still going to be able to grow your brassicas because they already have matured enough, and they'll be okay for the extra 20 days to give you a better tasting harvest. So some local resources that are available here in Framingham is the Framingham Seed Library catalog. So the Framingham Seed Library has all these beautiful varieties of vegetables, and luckily enough, all of this will grow well in our fall food garden. So you have your arugula, your Asian green mizuna, Asian green price joy, Asian green tashoy, broccoli, carrots, kale. Both varieties will do well, and all these lettuces will do well. Swiss chard and rhubarb will all do fantastic in your food fall garden. So make sure you go to the library and get some seeds. Or if they ran out, make sure you write down all these varieties and you could get them at your local garden center. Okay, so now this is the fun spot. Let's plan our fall food garden. So I created this timeline that is easy for you to follow. So you'll be able to do and all the tests that you need to do to get your fall food garden going. So the timeline is how I created it was using our first frost date and counting backwards. So counting that backwards, it's you have to count up to 15 weeks. Unfortunately, we're already at in July 19, so we're about week 12, 13, 12. We're in 13, getting out close to 12. Although week 15 has passed for us and 14, there's still plenty of time for us to grow our fall garden. So week 15 and 12 to 14, 10 to 12, 8 to 10, and 6 to 8, we have all these different tasks that we have to do in order to be successful with our fall food garden. At week 15 next year, you could start it. Then, when you identify your first frost date, you count backwards to 15 weeks. You could start planning, and meaning planning, choose the plants that you want to grow. Identify how much space you have for growing your plants, you know, and look at all the resources you have left over that you would like to use to create your fall garden with. Between the 14 and 13 week, 12 week, you must get your garden ready, meaning removing struggling plants that are done for the season, harvest some of your plants, and make room for your fall garden. If you already have a garden and you're removing all these plants, know that they have absorbed the nutrients in the soil. So we need to build back the soil by amending the soil with compost, age manure, and natural fertilizers. So either one of these would do, um, to bring your soil some nutrients in the soil and for your plants to be able to absorb and have a healthy growing season. Some of the plants you could direct sow is cucumber and summer squash. Yes, I said cucumber and summer squash. You know why? Because these vegetables can grow within 60 days. So they grow fairly quickly. And knowing that we have about 88 days left, we have enough time to grow them and fruit them. They're going to fruit in that time frame before our first frost date. We also could direct seed our snap peas, beans, parsnips, beets, Swiss chard, all of these. You could direct sow them in the space that you made for your fall garden. For your indoor seed starts, you have mostly your brassicas. So the reason why we do indoor with these guys is that they do not do well in the heat from seed. If you direct sow these, they might not even germinate because it's too hot for them to germinate. Right now, temperatures are ranging around 80 to 90 degrees outside in the summer, this midsummer. So you want to, and these seeds love to grow within the 50, 55, 60, 65 range of temperature. Um, so right now you're not going to get that kind of temperature for a very long time. So that's why I advise doing an indoor seed start with your broccoli, cauliflower, collard, kale, kohlrabi, rutabaga, and cauliflower. At your 12 to 10 week mark, you already did your uh, indoor seed start. So about 10 days later, you will have some seedlings. So it's then time to transplant them in your garden. If you weren't able to get any seeds started, you still have time to go into your local garden centers for seedlings. You may find a lot of brassicas and a lot of fall um, plants to be grown in your garden. So make sure you check them out and get some seedlings. Another set of direct sow that you could do is cilantro. Cilantro loves to grow in the cool season, especially from summer to fall. Lettuce, all the different varieties. You could start some now. Radishes, all these different type of radishes, and turnips and carrots. So you should direct sow these. Week 10 to 8, you're doing more direct sowing. So you may notice there is a pattern. This is succession. And also, you're not having the stress of growing everything at once. If you have a summer garden, you want to obviously wait till your crops are reaching to harvest them, not just pulling them out because you want to make room for another garden. So this timeline give you the time to stagger in direct sowing your plants, which will result in multiple harvests throughout the season of fall. So here at week 10 to 8, you could direct sow your arugula, spinach, all the Asian greens that variety you could get. Lettuces, the Brother Crunch, gourmet mix, and much more. All lettuces can be direct sow at this time, and as well as rooted vegetables. So you have your radishes and your turnips and other rooted vegetable as well can be sown at this time as well. Week 6 to 8. So right now is your final sowing period of spinach and lettuce. You want to sow them, and if you have anything else that you would like to sow, you could add that to the garden as well at this point. If you want to extend your growing season even further into December, you could add a protective tunnel or cover or frame. This will allow you to continue to grow and even harvest at a later time. On, around, and after your first frost day, you could do these. You could start some garlic. You could start some shallot, onions in your garlic. Normally, around this time, you will start hearing a lot of chatter about garlic. You will see a lot of people or gardeners trying to start some garlic. And yeah, this is what we do at this time. You could also do it, you don't have to do it right around the time. You could do it even a little bit later. I have seen people planted their garlic as late as November. But if it's freezing out and the soil is not workable, make sure the soil is workable before you plant these. And the same thing goes to the shallot and onions. So these will be started in the fall, but you will have a harvest in mid-July, like around this time. How to care for your fall food garden? So there's fewer tasks to do during this season. The watering is even less because there's not a lot of evaporation going on. So you will have to water it once a week if you water it deeply. You want to always amend your soil with compost or even make a little bit of compost within your garden bed that will provide nutrients to your plant. Another thing that you could do is the mulching. So you see all those beautiful leaves that fall in the fall. You can add them to your garden to make your soil healthy and give it a lot of volume and aeration within the garden so that the plants will be able to get some air and nice airflow in the roots. So fall food garden benefits. Number one benefit is fewer pests. If you're growing any brassicas right now in the summer, I'm sure you have faced some struggling. And this is due to the insect life cycle. So insects start their life cycle back in the spring, emerging out of their larvae, and then continue on their life cycle. Their life cycle here in the summer, they're hungry. So they will be eating all your brassicas. all the food that you have out there, they will at least eat something from there. So in the fall, you will have fewer pests because the insect life cycle does not match the fall gardening. And the next benefit is you have a lot of time to grow for before your first frost date, and as well as extending it out. So, for example, your brassicas, again, they could do a light frost. So that means you're extending your fall garden eating a little bit out further for a good, tasty harvest. Um, a fall garden will also save you tons of money because right now in mid summer, all the garden centers and shops around are doing a sale to get rid of their inventory. So you will find seeds at the fraction of the prices as well as the plants too. So make sure you go to your local garden centers or um, any store to see if they have any of these items on sale. They also grow better, way better in the fall because the plants reach maturity in an ideal temperature. This means that from spring to summer, um, some of your plants could struggle a lot, and these plants mostly are brassicas because the temperature switch goes higher. But in from summer to fall, the temperatures start higher and then lowers down all the way in fall. So then that becomes an ideal temperature for your cool season crops to grow in. Another chore that you wouldn't miss much is no watering or underwatering your garden. So because there's little evaporation periods, your garden will only need you to water probably once a week, and that makes you watering less in your garden. Fewer weeds. So the weed cycle too, it's gone um, into the fall and in the winter. So you won't have to weed out your garden because their cycle has ended. They thrive from the spring to the summer, but going from the summer to the fall, they're little to none. And the best benefit of all of having a fall garden is its better tasting harvest. So your root vegetable, your leafy greens are all going to taste good because once they're exposed to a light frost, the plant will naturally concentrate its sugar for survival in the winter. Then mostly we harvest thereafter. But you see, with your kales, your collard greens, and most of these vegetables, if you let them have that first frost, it's a whole another experience for in tasting these plants. So I made you guys a checklist that'll make it easier for you to accomplish in creating or planting your food garden. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me on this fall food garden planning workshop. Let's keep growing together. I hope you have enough information to go back and plan out your garden and or even start your garden this week. So once again, thank you for joining me in this fall food garden planning workshop at the McAuliffe Library. If you have any questions, please email me and let me know, and I'll sure be glad to respond and answer your question. All right. Again, my name is Sophia Hamas, your food garden coach with Tasty Harvest Kitchen Gardens, located in here in Framingham, Massachusetts. Thank you for being with me in this workshop. Hoping to see you soon. Peace.